Welcome to this week's episode of Thoroughly Entertained. This week, Krista and I find out how quickly a cave family can evolve in the Croods, and whether or not Tina Fey will reject Paul Rudd in admission. So this week, we saw the Dreamworks Animated movie The Croods in admission, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Croods first.
In the Dreamworks animated movie The Croods, a prehistoric family discovers that their world is about to end, and so they have to team up with a young man named Guy who's a little more evolved than they are to see if they can survive until tomorrow. What I really enjoyed about The Croods was the fact that the animation was inventive and creative. The animals were cool, these weird hybrid mixes which were really fun to see. What did you like about it?
I really did like the imagination of the visuals. I thought that was one of the best things about the movie. The other thing I really enjoyed was I thought the vocal cast was great.
Yeah, I agree.
From Nicolas Cage as the father Grug, to Clark Duke as Thunk, to Ryan Reynolds as Guy, all the way down to Cloris Leachman as Gran. Everybody was really, really good, and they had distinctive enough voices that each character had their own personality, and, movies like this are won and lost when they cast them. If the vocal talent isn't good, it doesn't matter how good the animation is, doesn't matter how good the writing is, the jokes are going to fall flat, but I think everybody in this movie scored with their jokes because the voices were so good.
And I totally agree. And because this movie centered on ideas like family and identity and trying to not overwhelm yourself with fear, sort of moving past your fear, I thought it really, the voices were rich and dimensional. Yeah. And Nicolas Cage, who he really is the central character, as he recognizes that he's irrelevant at times, and his whole life's purpose has been to protect his family, and he now is not able to do that. It also made for lots of funny jokes and things like that as well, but it walked this fine line between heart and humor, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, so did I. And again, like you mentioned, Nicolas Cage, he is somebody that has kind of, in his real life, become slightly cartoonish, so what a great person to have as the voice of a cartoon in a movie. Not a bad choice. And again, somebody like Cloris Leachman, and even Catherine Keener, who, she's a little bit underused maybe as the mom Ugga, but she has a really great warmth to her voice too, a really matronly feel to it, and I thought it was really good. The only thing I didn't like about the film is there was a lot of funny stuff in it, and I laughed a lot when I watched this movie, but unlike especially a lot of DreamWorks animated movies, like Shrek in particular, they don't play very much to the grown-ups that they know are the audience. Right. This movie was kind of 80-20 for the kids. And so there weren't these, kind of the sly little references that adults will laugh at that the kids won't understand. It was really all to the kids.
I agree. It was, definitely. But it was still a fun time. And it was fun to be in a theater that had children in it, because we could hear the little kids gasp, so if you have kids, it will heighten your movie-going experience, because the part of the joy and magic of one of these kinds of movies is to see it through your eyes of your child, and so I think you'll really enjoy it with it's a great family movie. Yeah,
your kids are absolutely going to love this movie if you see it, and you'll like it. Like I said, I just think there'll be times when you'll wish, I wish there was a little bit more in it for me, because, a full third of the crowd was parents,
right?
And, I felt that they were just a little bit underserved with the material.
As a whole, we gave it a B-, but if you have kids, distinctly a B+.
B+, yeah.
So in the comment section below right now, we would love if you would tell us what your favorite animated movie is. This is a solid, really good animated movie. Did you love it if you saw it? What is your favorite?
Absolutely.
Do that right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, let's talk about Admission.
In the new comedy Admission, Tina Fey plays Princeton admissions officer Portia Nathan, and her life is turned upside down when she meets the director of a progressive new school, played by Paul Rudd. I really enjoyed this movie more than a lot of the movies that we've seen so far this year. I thought it was a very grown-up and adult comedy about themes that, only people that are really in the middle of their adult lives are going to relate to and understand. I think this is the best work Tina Fey's done as an actress maybe ever. Paul Rudd was as good as he's been in a long, long time. And, I thought there was enough things that were really funny that it made the movie super enjoyable, but they didn't shy away from it being emotional too.
No, I totally agree. It was a perfect balance for a comedy.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of romance, there was drama, and there were lots of funny moments. And when you're laughing out loud multiple times in the movie theater, and I think I turned to you at one point, I was like, are we the only ones laughing? Yeah.
Well, we kind of were the only ones laughing. There was a bunch of 60-year-olds with us, and we were the only ones laughing.
But it was funny. It was
yeah,
a
it was
fun
very
movie, but it did tackle some big, important themes, and I think it made it even more funny because I understand
Absolutely.
Portia. Like you said, Tina Fey was fantastic in this movie.
Very, very good.
And Portia felt like a real woman and a real character, and not just it wasn't a physical comedy in the sense that I expected it to be from even the previews. It was really a dialogue comedy and a situational comedy more than, let's see, can she fall in a cow pie or something like that.
And there were scenes that were set up where you think, oh, this is going to be the scene where something ridiculous happens. There's one where, Paul Rudd's character is helping birth a calf, and you think, oh, something goofy's going to happen, and they're both going to be covered in goo, but it doesn't. It cuts away from that, and it cuts to them kind of showering up after it's over, because it's never interested in getting the cheapest laugh.
Right.
It's always interested in telling the best part of the story that it can tell. And so all of those little moments where you think, oh, this is where something ridiculous or goofy or slapstick is going to happen, they avoid that, and I think it makes the movie stronger because they rely on the merits of the story and not to try and come up with these little clips, you know. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and they had a strong secondary cast: Lily Tomlin,
very, very
Michael
good.
Sheen, all these really great talents. And even the two boys that played Nelson and Jeremiah, who I'm not familiar with them as actors, they were solid. They felt like real children, not just prototypes or too
movie
cutesy.
kids,
anything like that. My only one negative comment about the movie as a whole is Michael Sheen's character, his reoccurrence throughout the story.
Yeah.
He plays the ex-boyfriend who had an affair on Tina Fey's character and then
leaves her for somebody else.
Yeah, and then they keep showing up at odd times throughout the movie.
Yeah, anytime she's in the middle of kind of an emotional breakdown, he shows up and thinks it's because of him. Like, oh, it's because you're still getting over me. And yeah, I agree that I didn't love that part of it because it was the only part of the movie that seemed like it was designed to embarrass her.
Right.
Whereas like none of the rest of the movie was about that type of thing. It was about real people in real situations, where this seemed like the only like kind of manufactured thing where it's like, oh look, this funny coincidental thing happens just as she's starting to cry, her ex-boyfriend shows up. Like, yeah, those 2 or 3 scenes that they added in there, I could have done without. That's probably the only thing that kept it from being an A movie for me, was the addition of those scenes, which I thought were kind of a little bit unnecessary.
Right. So as a whole, we give this a high B+.
Very high B+.
It was an excellent movie, great fun, and really, really funny.
Yeah, one of the best movies we've seen so far this year, I would say.
Absolutely. And so in the comments below now, we want you to tell us what your favorite Paul Rudd movie is.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of Thoroughly Entertained. Make sure to come back next week. We'll be reviewing G.I. Joe Retaliation and The Host. And as always, if you enjoyed what you saw, make sure to like us below, leave a comment, and as always, visit our website at thoroughlyentertained.com as we continue our quest to be thoroughly entertained.